All right, I'm going to come around and find a couple more examples. All right, let's take a look at one of yours. I want to pick on some other ideas. So vendor and product. Explain that relationship to me. Hear you talk about it. Okay. So a vendor can have multiple products. So I want to explain that. Stop right there. So you've actually got that backwards. And I want to make sure you understand why. So this is a good example. If you're all listening, you might want to pay attention to this one. This is a good example of backwards. All right, so he's got this idea of let me magnify my screen. You've got vendor, right? And you have products. Now, I'm not going to put in all your attributes. But let's just talk about vendor. So what you're saying is a vendor, so I'm going to go ahead and put vendor ID here. And I'm going to go ahead and put product ID over here. Now what you're telling me is a vendor can have more than one product, but a product can only have one vendor. So we got to ask ourselves, how would we depict this relationship the appropriate way? So if you depict it this way, it is incorrect. And let's talk about why. You got to read this left to right. So let's read this left to right. So are you saying that a vendor can have one and only one product ID? Is that what you're saying? You're not. But that's the way this depicts it. Does that make sense? So what we have to do is flip that around to say, right? A vendor can have many products, but a product has one and only one vendor. You understand how to read that? So that's the correct way to depict it. So now which way is the snakehead pointing? Over here. So he gobbles up the vendor ID. The vendor ID goes over there. So what you'll do is the products class would then have to reference the vendor ID. So in your business logic, or I should say in your use case narrative for create products. So in your use case for create products, guess what you're going to have as one of your event steps? When you create the product, you go get the vendor ID from vendor, and you specify the vendor ID for that product. That has to be a step in create products, because you've now solidified that with this relationship. Make sense? The reason why we're depicting these relationships is because it informs us when we deal with the relationship. And in this case, we deal with the relationship when we create the product. We don't deal with the relationship when we create the vendor. Right? You see it, why that makes sense? This is why the composite relationship is so important. All right. Does that help understand? Got it? You had the wrong IDs flipped. But you should read them from left. Read them. This is the way you read it. The vendor has 0 or more product IDs. Products has one and only one vendor. That's the way you would read it. Very good. that's some nice light reading. IP version 6 RFCs. So payment. I'm interested in payment. What do you got going on there? Explain that relationship. Okay. What are your attributes in your payment option? Okay, those things are actually operations, they're not attributes. Those go into the operations section, not the attribute section. Make sense? Attributes are definitions. Actions are the operations. What you just listed to me are actions. They go into the operations section. You follow? So many of you are going to have, and I just found one, are going to have an order. I don't know if you all call it order. Who here has an order class right now? Okay. Not all of you call it order. But I have something called an order. The order is important because it does a couple of things. And in your case, an order may have what we call paid status. Paid status would tell us whether the order was paid or not, yes or no. Then we could have a payment type ID, because you have a payment type, right? Payment type ID would then be related to a class called payment type. And then you would have an attribute in here called payment type ID. And probably payment type name, or whatever else you want to know. So you see here, this is how this relationship would work. You follow me? The order would have a payment type ID. So what are your payment types? Like credit card, cash, debit card, whatever. So you would have all your payment types. You would have multiple objects would be created from payment type. There would be the object credit card, the object debit card, the object whatever. Order would then specify what type of payment with the payment type ID. This is a level of granularity that I don't know if we need to get into, but since you did it, this is how I would depict that. That ties back to an order. Now the order is what links to the product. See, not payment type. So what you would then have is a thing called product. And then you're going to be listing, the order is going to listing what product that it wants to purchase. Now here's where we get a little complex, because I noticed that several of you have this. Can we link product straight to order? Let's talk about it. Can an order have more than one product? Potentially. Can a product be in more than one order? Yeah, we hope so. We hope it's a lot, right? So this is a many-to-many. This is not, we can't depict that, right? So we got to figure out a way to do that. Well, we're missing a concept, right? So what is the concept we're missing? Well, for lack of a better term, we'll just call it an order entry for now. Some people call it an invoice, actually, right? But the idea is that on the individual order entry, I'm going to go ahead and give myself an order ID up here. And over here, I'm going to give myself a product ID. That an order entry would have so look at this. An order entry would have a product ID. Right? So an individual orders entry would only have one product ID. Right? But a product ID could be in many order entries. And then what I do here is I do it the same way, I do it this way. I would say an order entry, an individual order entry would only have one order ID. But an order could have many order entries. So this is how you depict this relationship. So an order could have a whole bunch of line items, a whole bunch of entries. And every one of those entries only has one product in it. But I can have multiple entries with many different products. So guess what I would put on order entry? Could you ever send more than one product to the customer with an entry? Maybe two roses instead of one, or whatever the case may be. In that case, then I could have on order entry, guess what? A quantity. And this is where the quantity idea comes in. Or you could have a separate shipping address. Or you could have a total, right? A subtotal. So here the subtotal of the order could be. Whereas on order, you have the grand total. On the order entry, you have the subtotal. Does that make sense? So if you needed to calculate a subtotal and a total, you could do so with this. And software that does order entry oftentimes has this type of relationship. So this repeats constantly. Do you understand here? See how I separated payment type out of there? Now it's not confusing. You're trying to link payment type to too many things. It doesn't make any sense. Here, the relationships make sense. An order got paid with this payment type. So my use case would read like this. Customer completes the order by setting paid status to a 1. Paid, right? And then selected the payment ID from payment type appropriate for a credit card. Right? That way we can indicate the order was paid. Now you'll probably have more in that. You'll probably have to have the value, what the total was, right? So you'll need to have the attribute total in here. We need to know how much to actually pay. We've got to take the idea one step further. So you'll need to have what your total of the order was. But here we know exactly what products are on the order, right? Because we have this relationship. So building the order becomes kind of an interesting use case. In order to build the order, what do you have to do? You have to create an order entry. Once you create the order entry, then what do you have to do? Select the product ID from product. After you select the product ID from product, then you have to set the quantity. Now you can go build the next order entry. So when you build the next order entry, you go select product ID from product, set the quantity. Are you ready to? Are you wanting to continue? Yes. Let's build the next order entry, right? When you're all said and done, you've got all your order entries. Then you can calculate your grand total. You can put your total in. Almost every software package I've ever dealt with that has orders always has an entry table or entity where we build entries with the products in. Does that help at all? I don't know if you have order. Do you have order? Well, you may have something that you thought was order. Yeah, I think that's actually order. Well, no, you had a gift list, right? That may be stuff they want. So you have stuff that they want, and then you have the stuff they actually get. There's a difference between what they want and what they actually get, right? What they want is one list, and what they get is the order. Okay, well then that's your order, if that's what you meant by that. That's what they actually get. So you have two different states, right? State one is, this is what we want the gift recipient to get in the future. And then the next thing is, this is what they got when we ordered it. Right? All right? Hold on just 1 minute. All right. You have to have two. You have to have two graphical phones. Yeah, there you go. Helps with phone calls. All right. So you've got a bit of an interesting dilemma on your hands. I can tell there's something wrong. I usually can tell there's something wrong when you have a loop going on in your classes. Not all the time, but pretty close. All right. So you have a gift, and gift is related to a gift type. Now, why is product ID under a gift type? So you understand here that a gift may have a gift type, but it would have a gift type ID, right? Let me diagram that up here so everybody can see it. So let's deal with them one at a time. So everybody look up here. So we have gift, this relationship between gift and gift type. A few of you have this, right? So what would that be? So over here you would have a gift type ID and maybe a gift type name. And over here you would have a gift ID, gift name. So the question becomes, how are gift and gift type related? Let's look at our composite. How are we going to do that? So a gift would have a gift type, right? A gift type could be in more than one gift. So it would look like this. Do you follow? A gift would have one and only one gift type. But a gift type could be in many gifts. So what attribute goes where? Gift type ID is going to go over to gift. So I'm going to put gift type ID over here. So in your narrative for create gift, you're going to say the actor specifies the gift type by selecting the gift type ID from gift type. Right? So we're probably going to have an operation over here called set gift type. So you're going to say the actor performs set gift type by grabbing the gift ID from gift type. Right? That's the process for that narrative. That one's pretty simple. So you want to get rid of product and just have it as gift type. But that's a good one, good example nonetheless. All right, that cleans it up. That's one up. All right, now let's talk about what else you got gift going on here. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way. So you got options. What is that? So a gift can have a message. So a gift could have a message to it. Okay. So a gift will have an option. How many options can you have for a gift? Many? All right, so let's talk about that. This is interesting. So let's look at this one. So we have, so you have this ability to customize. So I don't know what we're going to call this. I'll just call it this for now. So a gift can be customized. And you're telling me that a gift can have more than one customization. And can a customization repeat? No. So that's actually rather, if a customization cannot repeat, so if a customization can't repeat, this is actually relatively easy, right? Because we would say a customization would only be in one gift, right? So we would put over here the gift ID, the gift ID, and then we would put the maybe the customization text, right? So what we're saying here is that a customization would only belong to one gift. But this doesn't make sense, though, because the gift can be used many times with many different customers, right? So why would we link the customization to the gift? Because what happens if I sent this gift to Sue and then I send it to Barbara? Sue is Guy's girlfriend and Barbara's my wife, right? That would be a problem if I sent the gift out and it had Sue's custom message on it to my wife Barbara. That would be a problem, right? So this doesn't make sense to link the customization to the gift. You follow? What does it make sense to link the customization to? To maybe the order entry. You follow? So going back up to here, we talked about the order entry. It might make sense, instead of linking that to maybe on a particular entry, I'm just going to move this out of the way. Right? So we'll put the up here we have a entry ID, and we would say a customization okay, let's see if that makes more sense. So here we have an order going out, and there's many entries in that order, and every entry has a product specified that's going out, right? So then we specify, well, some order entries require customization, right? And if they require customization, then we are going to say, here's the customization and here's its entry ID, right, that is specified. So a customization would only be for an individual order entry. But an order entry, and actually an order entry would only have one customization. So we might even be able to get rid of that whole darn thing. We could just say, just to show you, we could get rid of this whole thing, and we could just say customization text. You follow? So an order entry for an individual product has customization. And if it has customization, here's the text you put in it. So under product, you would have requires customization. So if the product has a field that says this requires customization, then when we build the order entry, we have to specify customization text. Right? So during your order entry process, you need to have this process where you check to see, does this product require customization? So every time you go to add an order entry, and you specify the product ID from product, you'll then have a second step. The system checks to see if the product requires customization. If the product, so maybe instead of this, we would call this, we'll call this customize flag. So this would be called the customize flag, and we would have an operation called check customization. Right? So when we build the order entry, so during your narrative, you'll say, okay, customer creates order entry by selecting the product ID from product. Product is then going to return the product ID. We're all good to go. Then the actor will perform check customization on product. If the product returns the customized flag as yes, then what do we need to do? We need to then request from the actor customization text. And then we place that into the order entry. You follow me? Now we can remove that whole class. We don't need it. Right? Because all we're doing is providing customization text. And the customization text could be, please make this red, or please put I love you on here, or whatever the customization is. Right? So that would work. So your gifts are now products. You could call this gift if you want to. It doesn't have to be called product. Right? It could be called gift. It doesn't have to be called product. Yeah, maybe you don't need product. Maybe you just have gifts. Notice that was empty anyway, right? You didn't really need it. And cart is order. And this is order, and this is order entry. Right? And you're getting pretty close. It's getting pretty close to being done, right? Now what was suggestion for? So recipient would like to suggest an item if they want. I think we're almost out of time. Let me do one more. What do you got? You potentially could, but let me just talk to you about state. So you may have a situation where it is a product before it's ordered. It becomes a gift when it's ordered, right? That's a state issue. Now, that could be, maybe we're mixing terms, because maybe when it's in an order, we're actually calling it a gift. So it could be that product and gift are merged into the same concept. It's very much possible. Leave them blank until they naturally merge. Like on his, it just merged together. This was real clean. Did you notice how clean that was? They just merged together. Don't force it, because you may have a state issue going on. But if it fits and it's clean, then merge them. His was natural because he had nothing under product. He had product ID and that was it. You didn't even have anything else under there. Everything was a gift. So what do you got in gift? You have a gift ID and products. So that's really products.
Yeah.
So yeah, that may be a nice fit.
And a lot of it here.
Is there too?
Here.
Yeah, they're the same thing. Yes. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it makes sense. Yep. All right, we're out of time. On Wednesday, we're going to do a lot of this again. So bring your class diagrams to class, and we're going to dive into them even more and solve relationship problems. That's what we're going to do. All right, so I'll see you on Wednesday.